all as well. I see I see a few folks in that their stream. David,
That
um,
gang's already in here.
yeah, David, development of a void. Barry Prosser, David again. Hello, and weathered and wise. Weathered and wise. Did you hear all those?
Weathered.
Yeah, all those extra consonants that I put in there. You know about those
Yeah, it's
consonants and
very
vowels.
very trying to make it I had a joke, it's gone. That's
Kevin
how this night's
O'Brien.
gonna go.
uh, Kevin O'Brien. It's okay. I got the LD for both of us.
Yeah, I'm out as well. I tried to get some today. My local supplier is Sands, so I'm gonna have to order.
Sans death.
Gonna have to order.
But you do have a sweet mug. Look at that. Nick Hill riffs.
Your tumbler.
And
Your tumbler looks great.
whose Tumblr? What?
Yours. You
Mine.
just posted on
Oh,
Instagram today.
right. I don't even know what I do.
That was
Uh,
hours ago.
I know. Shut up. Anthony, how are you? Hope you are well.
Kevin,
Uh,
what's up, guys? How's it going, everybody?
yeah. I hope everybody is well. Big day here at Bandless Studios. Is that what we're going to call it? Bandless.
That sounds good to me.
It's great. Big day at Bandless Studios. Today's topic: critics and trolls. This is a near and dear topic, I think, probably to everyone. And we're going to approach it not from maybe the typical perspectives, maybe a little bit, but we're going to try and understand critics and trolls, try to be sensitive of the whole topic, and and think about what is going on with it. What is going on with those
There's a
critics
lot
and
to
trolls,
unpack.
and what is going on with it from our perspective as a person maybe making and sharing things. What is going on with our heads in terms of the critics and trolls, and what is going on with the critics and trolls themselves. And of course, with those critics and trolls, we also have things like the whatchamacallit, like jokers and jackasses. And sometimes those people aren't really critics or trolls
Right.
at all. They're just having fun. But yeah, we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. Oh, I guess that was your part,
Yeah,
Nick Hill. Yeah,
you ruined our flow.
usually we do this in a different order.
It's okay, bud. It's all right. Yeah.
But for those who are not familiar with this show, Nick Hill, maybe you could let them know what this show is all about, what Bandless is all about. I'm pretty sure
So,
most. Yeah.
yeah, we got returning viewers, most of you guys. I see some new faces in the chat, so that's
Yeah.
cool. Tyler, Finn, how you guys doing? Welcome.
Yeah.
So every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, myself, Nick Hill, and the Bunn, we dig into the challenges that solo musicians and creators face. We try to kind of highlight the tools, tactics, and perspectives that might help illuminate the path forward. So we're trying to dig into everything. We
Yeah.
pull the curtain aside,
Yeah.
behind the scenes, mental tactics, technology, everything, everything.
And sometimes we're coming from a perspective where these topics are things that we are wrestling with, that
Mm,
that are new to us. We're not we don't pretend to be experts or anything like that. This is all a big jamboree, a big conversation type of approach to it all.
absolutely. Yeah, this is a relevant given kind of, the video that you dropped this week and, you know, some feedback or reaction to it. We had a little discussion.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. Whatchamacallit, I would like to, Nick Hill, if you don't mind, take this opportunity to shout out a bunch of the folks who have been brave to, come along with us all in the Bandless Discord group.
Absolutely.
And specifically, I want to shout out. So I'd like to shout out everyone, but I'd like to shout out some of the people who are in there where this topic today is particularly relevant. These are people that we know for a fact have either YouTube channels or music up, and kind of just want to shout them out because they're going to understand what this is all about from a first person's perspective. And if we've missed anyone, let us know. Drop your in the actual Bandless Discord if you're in there. Make sure to share your YouTube channels, your music. There's numerous sections for that in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to go through the little list that we've put together for today's Discord member shoutouts? People who have YouTube channels for sure, of some capacity.
Yeah, and I know you probably pulled a lot of this from memory, so kudos on that, and just on kind of talking with everybody in the Discord. So like Bunn said, if we missed anybody, no offense meant. Let us know that you have music or you have a channel up in the Discord if you're part of it, and for sure we'll shout you out in a future episode. And yeah, I mean, you guys will know exactly what this topic is all about. So David Apoplexia, Anthony Nito, Jack Wolven, Synth Chris, Cosman, DJ, how do you say that?
Bone.
8093.
DJ Bone.
I love it. I love it. DJ Bone, Gear Stuff and Things. This is a tough one. Malaya.
I think it's Mele. Glue. I can't really say the last name very well, but
yeah.
Mele.
That's his nickname.
Yeah.
Miles Does Music, Wraitho Quarter, Sean Heath. These are the guys that we for sure off the top of our head, off the top of Bunn's head, know has music and or a YouTube channel, putting out content, putting themselves out there. So shout out to you guys. And of course, like Bunn said, everybody in the Discord.
Yeah. And Cosman. Oh, yeah, we got Cosman.
Yep, Cosman. Yep.
But yeah, all these people know what's going on with that. I put the link to the Discord in the stream. I'm not sure how long we'll be sort of openly sharing the link. It does expire in 24 hours, but we'll be sharing the link to the Discord for a bit longer. But we're going to be, at some point, we're going to get careful about how much we share it, just so it's not so, as things grow, we may moderate that.
Right.
But the link is in there currently. So if you'd like to hang out in the Discord, the link is there. We'll share it a few more times before the episode is done. Also, if you're interested in what we're doing here and you'd like to help out in any way financially, we make that available. There is a PayPal link in the description. I will put the link in there again. It goes to my PayPal, but I forward any dollars that are needed for this software and whatnot to Nick Hill. Bam. But if you'd like to help out with that, you can do that. And last but not least, we started a Patreon, and that is a $5 Patreon. You can do, it's a $5 a month thing. You can cancel it any time. And one thing it guarantees is shout outs in every single episode for sure. Cause that's about all we have to offer right now, in terms of perks of any sort. So that is here. And we're going to get into it. So Nick, would you like to kind of cap off today's topic? Just kind of,
yes. Let me just do some organization, bring my notes back up
in a a little bit more succinct manner here, and we'll get to point one.
Yes. Okay, guys. So critics and trolls. The more we make our work public, the more susceptible we are to criticism, or potentially worse. For some, the fear of this, just the fear of criticism, and I definitely put myself in that boat at the beginning. Just the fear of dealing with critics or trolls or people's opinions will stop people dead in their tracks, as far as even putting out their music or let alone get in front of a camera. So how do we move forward? How do we interact with it? How do we keep ourselves from breaking or letting it affect us? That's what we're going to try and dive into, and take not just a look at like how it affects us, but where could these people potentially be coming from? Like let's like get behind the mentality of like why or what, what's the word I'm looking for?
The motives.
Yeah, what motivates people to sometimes be shitty on a video or in a comment section,
or to seem shitty. Maybe they're not.
Or that too. And I think that's a very good point. That's a huge point. So yeah.
So point one, the first thing we're gonna think about is us. All of you guys in the comments. Just quick little shout outs again. Baritone Cult, what's up? Sean Heath, what's up? Weathered and Wise, Barry Prosser,
Lucas,
Tim Wheeler, and Lucas. Hello. But yeah, hope you guys are well. Just want to make sure that that we know that you're there. But yeah, point one, addressing your own perception and sensitivities. It's a great place to start. How easily are you irked? That's an important thing to know. I think as you're going to start putting yourself out there, how easily are you kind of set off by things? Being aware of that, asking yourself that question is pretty important when you start sharing your music, start sharing your videos, start sharing anything, kind of sensitive to you. And then secondly, part and parcel to that is how precious are you about the things that you're sharing? How precious are you about your music? Actually, like being able to answer that. It's like, am I really sensitive to criticism or negative feedback or anything like that? And then maybe lastly is like how controlling you might be of everything, like that you have to control everything to be right and great. And, you can't control other people's perspectives, other people's, motivations. How easy is it for you to roll with things, or how difficult is it for you to roll with things? So Nick, if you could kick this one off from your own sort of perspective of addressing some of these things, that would be cool.
Yeah. So let's see what we're talking about, like our own perceptions. How precious are we about our music or our art or our content? How controlling are we? How easy is it to roll with it? I have some notes, so I'll go off my notes and I'll expand upon that. So the first note I put is I write my music for me. I write my riffs for me. I write the stuff I want to hear. I write riffs that inspire me. And I kind of got into that mindset pretty quickly. And I think that is probably a good thing because if I tried to worry about what other people thought about my music, luckily you don't get comments on Spotify or iTunes. So you don't really know short of like raw data, raw numbers. And you can't use that as a barometer as to whether or not your stuff's good enough anyway. So you just kind of, I write my stuff for me. I know, Bunn, you write the music that you want to hear. You write a very like niche type of genre type of vibe. So like you're writing the stuff for you. I'm writing my stuff for me. And if anybody else happens to like it, that's a bonus. I can definitely say at times this topic, these types of interactions have affected me. And, yes, recently, and then I'll go spurts without it even bothering me. Let's see what I put. It's typically very short. Yeah. So trolls and critics, I'm very reactive with them. They do still have an effect on me, but it's very, very quick and finite. I know myself well enough to know, and Bunn, you and I will talk about it all the time. I'm reacting to something somebody said. Mm-hmm. And then as I talk about it with you, it's just usually a matter of minutes. And then I'm like, okay, who gives a crap? Like, it's not a big deal. It's nothing. And in most cases, it's like you said, it's somebody just looking for an interaction. It's maybe me reading too much into a comment. We also have to think like we're dealing with people from around the world, and coming from different perspectives, and language and translations come across differently. That's definitely something I think you should look at. Like, don't just assume somebody's being a prick, which I often do, because maybe I've been a prick at times. I think that's probably, I know the telltale signs. um,
The truth comes
and
out.
let's see, what else did I put in? Oh, embrace, like when you're a creative, you and I, our time is pretty finite. Like we have
Yeah.
our social life. Like you have your lady, I have my family and my wife, and then we have a job. You are luckily in a position where you're able to dive into this full time, but like now all of your time has to be dedicated to this because you need to support yourself. So what I'm getting at is like we have a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
And the note I put is ain't no one got time for that. We've all heard it before. Like, don't give these comments or critiques or negative interactions any more time than they deserve, which is pretty much zero. Like, don't let it consume you. F the haters. Post and ghost is a big thing I've been kind of all about lately and talking about, and is a little bit relevant to this. Put your stuff out, put your music out, put your video out, and then move on to the next thing. Definitely you need to interact with your audience and with your following, but not to the extent that you're getting caught up with every single critique and every single criticism, because you'll just never get anything done. Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Very poignant though. Yeah, I'm with you on all of that. From my kind of point of view, I guess I can kind of add to it. I think the big one for me is I try to look at me, and so do you. Like everything you talked about is that, but I try to like really go inner. And I know from my earlier life and also from a lot of my, I guess, experience with friends and family and all this kind of stuff, just like really looking at what's going on with people, myself and people, is it seems the more that you desire acceptance, the more sensitive you are to rejection.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're putting yourself out there and you're like, I really, really want people to like this, I really, really want this to be well received, and maybe thinking about things in terms of widely received. I want this to be widely received. Well, most of the things that most people make isn't for everyone. So it's going to come with some, a significant number of people who don't like what is going on, which is fine. But if you're really kind of like caught up in this thinking of seeking acceptance, you're probably going to be much more sensitive to rejection. And just thinking about that and getting good with that is probably a great first step. And it's something that I had to think about quite a while ago. This was something for me more when I was playing in bands and getting comfortable with being on a stage in front of people and all that kind of stuff. But that's my number one thing. The second thing is the more you do, the more you play in live bands, the more you do these, videos on the internet and whatnot, the more you realize that very few people are actually paying attention. Like Nick, you and I, we talk about this quite a bit. Like the number of people who have no idea that we actually make music and have, a bunch of recordings available.
Yeah, this is a new revelation for the both of us. We've been talking about like
a huge.
It'd be interesting, like at some point in the stream, to kind of dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, we totally will. It'd be interesting to see what other people, if they have a similar experience.
Yeah.
I know quite a few of you guys are sharing various things, and how many things that you are sharing, you're realizing like a lot of people don't even notice that you do this thing. Which is really funny because for me, my whole channel is about music, and all of the musical examples that I use are all my own music. And
Yeah,
I always have a CTA. Like I always have a call to action. I have music available. No.
that is funny because like we've talked about it before, where like the point of me doing the YouTube channel was to have more people hear my music. And then you brought this question up the other day, and I'm like, that's a good point. I bet like only a quarter of the people who watch my channel know I have all this music available, you know? But it's funny.
So weird.
It just goes to say like people just don't know. They just see the surface thing. They just sometimes see this one video, you know? It like
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so funny. So, thinking about that, you're like, well, I, trolls, haters, and otherwise, it's like most of those people don't even know what I'm doing at all to begin with. I guarantee a lot of comments. I see a lot of comments where I'm like, whatever it is there, if it is I don't get a lot of negative comments, so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
I get to kind of interact with people in really great ways, and make friendships because of it a lot of the time. But, when I do kind of experience some of this stuff, one thing I notice is I'm like, oh, this person didn't watch anything. They watched like literally maybe the first minute of the video.
Yeah.
And they don't, and they're criticizing and on a topic that is like deeply covered. And I'm like, interesting.
I've had this too where like somebody, I told this to you, somebody left and I think these are the types of comments that are the ones I bring up the most. And I'm just like somebody said, I'm X amount of time in and I still have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, you passed if you're really here, you passed the moment where I said, this is what this video is about.
Yeah.
So you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
And it goes to your point, like it's almost as if people just aren't paying attention and they hear like a thing and they're like, it's like a trigger for them, and they're just like, they just like
Yeah. But what is also true about it is the people who, like you were saying, like you do it for you and you do it for the people who enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
Well, those people are paying attention. So don't forget about
Right.
them. Don't let this one person or this one comment upset the fact that, there's this, this wealth of a positive experience going on. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I got a few more here. I guess the next thing is for me is exactly that. It's not for everyone. And for me, that's really important to me. Like I am really, really into not making music for everyone. I have zero interest in that. I make music similar to what you are sharing. I make music for me and people like me, people who enjoy things that I enjoy. I'm not saying that people need to be like me, but if they like what I'm doing, then they're like me in some way. And we can probably, develop a friendship or some like a greater relationship. I'm like, oh, we have stuff in common. We have likes in common.
Right.
Which is great. So yeah, it's a good idea to just be like, yeah, I'm not making music for everyone. I'm only making it for a few people. And sometimes, a lot of times, only a few people is enough. And it's interesting to think about it in terms of numbers. So let's say for some reason that you reach 1 million people,
Mm-hmm.
with your music. You put out a record and it's on Spotify and it gets 1 million followers, 1 million plays, let's say. For a lot of people, it's like, wow, that feels like everyone. But 1 million people in this world is a tiny amount of people.
Correct.
So, and I'm just using a big number, a seemingly big number like that because it's easier to hold on to. It's easier to grab onto. But yeah, you don't need a lot of people for something to work a lot of times. So yeah, it's only for some people. It's not for everyone. And I try to really like dwell on that. um,
Yeah.
the last two things for me is like my preciousness. I am the least precious person about my music. If somebody hates my music and fully spits on it and just profoundly dislikes my music, I'm like, great. don't, I don't have zero reaction to that at all. I do not care. I am not sensitive to my music. That is very helpful. I realize that not everybody, enjoys that kind of distance or separation from what they do. I don't know. I think for you, Nick, it's sort of a newer experience.
Like the music part, you mean?
Just having some distance between you and like how precious you are about what you're making. Like you really love what you're making, but it's like if somebody else doesn't like it, whatever. But
I'm with you. I think maybe definitely right at the beginning, but that went away real quick when I just started focusing on, I don't care about, I think it was like around my shortcomings with guitar playing in general. I'm like, I don't care. I'm writing stuff that I can write, that I can play, that I enjoy, that I am like listening to. I'm probably the number one streamer of my own music, but that's because I'm writing what I want to hear and I don't care. I'm with you. I don't care. I know most people who hear my music, if they're friends or family, are just like saying what they need to say because they're supportive of me. I get it. It's fine. I know most aren't going to listen to it. I'm not writing stuff for everybody. I know it. I fully know it. And I'm not even that niche of a heavier metal genre, really. Like you are. You write stuff that's real kind of artsy.
Yeah. By design, by intention.
Yeah,
but that's what I like to do, and you do what you like to do, and that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you connect with enough people who do enjoy what you like or what you do, and that's like an amazing thing.
Yeah, I still very much am like, some people have said, something in the chat similar. It's like, for the most part, I'm still blown away people listen to my music at all and, watch my videos at all. So if I get, when I'm like, oh, wow, I got like 1,000 streams this month, I'm like,
wow,
that's amazing. I'm okay with that. When I look at my Spotify for artists, like I'm really genuinely excited, and my numbers are minuscule, but I'm excited because I see like there's people from all over the world listening to something I wrote, and I don't care about the number. It's like, I like that.
You had that amazing thing. I can't remember the exact analogy or if it was an analogy, but like if those people were in the same room as you or something like that.
Yeah, imagine all those people right in front of, like, when we talk about this with our subs. Like, imagine there was 10,000 people standing in front of you.
Yeah. and that's how many Spotify streams you got, let's say, or video views or whatever the case may be.
See, Dylan's a good example of, you need to understand comedy and sarcasm, because if you took everything literally in the comment section, you would hate Dylan right now. But you can't do that because you have to like not take everything so seriously.
Dylan falls into the Joker category here, the jackass Joker. Sometimes he's like unbelievably insightful, and I'm just like, who is this philosopher?
Yeah, wait a minute, that's not your role.
Yeah. But my finishing point on this topic, and we're going to take it to the comments here, is it's only music. At the end of the day, it's only music, or it's only a video. We're not curing cancer here or anything like that. Just kind of, for me, I'm just like, it's not that important. I just love it. Like
That's a good point.
But it's just what it is. And I happen to love it, but it helps from that perspective, it helps not being so precious about it. But do you have
that's a good point.
Sorry.
No, I like that last point. I just kind of saw it while you were saying it, and
right.
It's true. It's just a song. It's just a video.
Yeah.
Move on to the next one.
My music made. We'll take it to the comments here. Uh, and this one I just find is funny. Scott, your music made my kids cry. Because it's so gross. Do you have your eyes on any comments here?
There's a lot. I was
There's
trying
a
to
lot.
like,
This is a good topic. I'm going to go back a little bit here
yeah,
myself.
same. So development has something that's kind of like important to point out. He says there's this idea that your best friend is actually your enemy because they will say and tell you the truth where it counts.
Good one. And yeah, you know, you yourself, Nick, and myself, you, me, and Artie, we tend to share a lot of stuff between the three of us,
Yeah.
or between each of us, depending on what it is. But and we're kind of often looking for that, like for a friend's honesty about certain things. And you know, for me, I'm always looking for sort of feedback that gets inside of the thing, not necessarily what's good or bad, but like, oh, like, you know, I need to get from this part to that part, and what would be a better thing? Does what I have work well enough, or whatever? Am I overthinking this? Looking
Yeah.
for feedback, but I think some people confuse feedback for constructive criticism, and I think they're different things. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know because so like there's a couple sides to this. There's the side where you want people like when I share stuff with you and Artie, I'm looking for blunt truth. You
Right.
know, you're not going to get that with most of your friends.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's the case. So you have to know your audience or like have people in your life that are going to be more, I don't know, constructive, like you said, instead of just telling you what you want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense or if it's relevant, but
100%. 100%. You know, I guess like getting inside of the idea of like, is this criticism or is this actually like feedback? I think they're different things. Sean Heath has this great comment. Yeah, I'm happy for any comment I get, positive or negative. It's somebody that spent some time seeing, listening to what you have to show, say. That's kind of a compliment in itself. Yeah,
yeah,
this is going to
yep,
come up a little bit later in the topics. Huge. I think this is huge. Nick, how are you with this one these days? I think
like
you wrestled with it earlier, but I think now you're great with it.
yeah, I don't care overall. I've gotten really good at not caring. I think the problem I run into time to time, without getting too far on tangent, is the comments. I don't care about just overtly negative comments. I don't get a ton of them. I really don't. It's overall very positive. Everybody's very appreciative of the information we're sharing,
Yeah.
or that I'm sharing. So there's not a lot. But when I do get something overtly just negative for the sake of being like a dick, like I don't, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me that I'll come to you with is like if we're sharing information or a video or a topic that is just strictly meant to be helpful without like asserting ourselves as being correct, that's when I'm like, this is free information. When somebody comments in a negative light about that kind of thing, that's when I'm like, no, you just have no idea. That's when I get a little,
Yeah.
when I get a little annoyed.
Yeah.
But like, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me, how I talk, how I sound, how I look, the way I do things. I don't care about that.
Well, it's easy to feel that way when you look so handsome.
Right. Yeah. It's a curse and a blessing.
Let's be real. Freshly shorn.
You got the mullet growing out here.
Ooh, all right. We're gonna both be able to bang our heads.
Yep, that's the idea.
to brutal metals, brutals. Baritone Cult has this great comment. All of us are our biggest trolls anyways. No one is going to be harder than we are on ourselves.
It's the
We all
truth.
try our best.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of like the psychology that's going on when we do maybe pick up on something that might be perceived as negative. We go into our own troll brain on ourselves. We're going to pick up one more here. And then we're going to get to the next point. What do we got? Personally, aha, this is a good one. Lucas.
Yeah.
Lucas Weisbrod. He says, personally, worst time was even before I recorded something. A bunch of people at the local scene were kind of, you don't exist. That's just a studio project. I thrived on those comments. And this is an interesting one because, yeah, I think before you start kind of really getting into it and really reaching out, there's, you know, you don't really know how to think about it because there isn't a feedback loop. Things aren't happening. And people in a scene type of thing, a lot of those people aren't doing very much. And for some reason, like strong opinions tend to be ripe on a local level scene kind of thing. Depends on who you know, you can kind of curate your own engagements, like who your friends are and all that kind of stuff. And I would say most of my friends are really awesome, positive people. But yeah, I've definitely felt this thing that Lucas is talking about in a big way. And it can really hamper you stepping forward because you're like, you just take that idea, that feeling of that idea, and maybe apply it to, well, if my local scene is this brutal, what's it going to be like when I put myself on the internet? Or, you know, kind of being like, yes, I'm disruptive and I'm, you know, I don't exist anyway. So I'm just going to go get out there and do it. And it doesn't even matter. Like there's a bunch of ways you can look at it. Do you relate to any part of that?
Yeah, there is a little, I don't know why this is, but there is a little bit of stigma when you're like, when you know people out in your local music scene and you're just a guy who does stuff in your basement studio, you know?
Yeah.
There seems to be this not like overtly talked about, but like this, like, oh, okay, oh, you just like do recordings and stuff, like, yeah, you know. But I've done the live thing too, so it's not like it's not out of a lack of ability or desire. It's just this is what I happen to be doing now, and I would rather, you know, like when we first met, I wasn't putting out music because I thought I needed a band or I thought I needed vocals and blah blah blah. Like I got to the point where I'm like, no, I'm just going to do whatever I want, and then if those things fall into line, then cool, I have that. But I'm not going to wait on something. So like I'm not going to wait on a band to put out music. That's not going to happen anymore.
That's so relevant to this particular Lucas's comment because you and Lucas are the same that way. And Lucas is from Argentina and he was trying to put a band together, do it on a local level. And it just it kept falling apart. And I was just like, we'd communicate frequently and I'd be like, dude, forget about all of it. Just make something and get it out. And you're more likely to connect with amazing people by doing it than by doing nothing. Because he had great ideas and you have great ideas, and you know, and significant skill. So get it out there and try and attract, you know, connections with people like you.
Yeah, it'll lead to something. It'll absolutely lead to something. And you got to look at it the bigger picture.
Yeah. Lucas here, his project is called Mostro, and he just dropped a single with Lindsay O'Connor. She's like a famous death metal vocalist.
Wow.
And a mega babe. Wow. Like I just can't
imagine. Lucas, Lucas, imagine if you would still just be waiting to find a band and hadn't acted.
Yeah. Yeah. The Mostro single with Lindsay O is like unbelievable. But yeah, that is exactly the thing. Like,
That's
imagine.
beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and Nick, like your whole life has changed as a result of getting it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's
Amazing.
led to the next thing. It's led to the next thing. I mean,
Yeah.
the stuff I'm working on with Steven is a perfect example, you know?
Yeah. Amazing. Wells, yo, represent. So we're going to get on to the next point, point two, and we're going to talk about them, the critics, the jokers, the trolls. Sometimes they seem like that's what they are, and that's maybe not exactly what they are. Sometimes that is exactly what they are. But I don't know, getting inside of it, thinking about what the difference is. Because critics, something that happens with critics is they don't actually make anything. They're not actually involved in anything. And trolls often seek to just kind of like shake the cage, rattle the system,
Mm-hmm.
get a rise. And that's their whole life purpose. And then like jackasses and jokers, a lot of times they're just taking the piss out of something. Like they don't actually mean anything terrible.
Right.
But they do it in such a way where most people have no idea it's like an inside joke and they're like, okay, dude. So that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, knowing the difference and that if people are truly critics and trolls, like absolutely, they usually score pretty low in terms of people who do something that are helpful, that connect with the community, that make meaningful art, do any of that kind of stuff. They're usually just critics and trolls, and that's it. So, thinking about all that, Nick, what's your sort of perspective? Your first perspective, first things that come to mind in terms of thinking about critics and trolls and kind of getting inside of that idea. So some of those people are in fact critics and trolls, but they may not be entirely critics and trolls. There might be other stuff going on. What are you thinking?
Yeah, there was two major things that I kind of thought of about this, and I didn't go too deep into it. But one was like, and it's been said 1,000 times, and in various ways. But like those who can't create hate, there's some form of that, and you
Yeah.
kind of touched upon it. It's like, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
those times where I've gotten sucked into a negative comment or a negative interaction, and I go look up the person,
Yeah.
they don't have anything.
Yeah.
Don't have anything out there. They don't have any music. They don't have any. It's just how it typically is. And the other thing I thought of is, and I try to teach this to my boys is like consider what that person might be going through, because oftentimes like you're just going to end up being someone else's scapegoat. So I always say that. I used to say this early on in my relationship, and she hated it. But I'm like, if if your significant other is upset at something and then they're kind of like taking it out on you, I would be like, you're not mad at me. You know, that's the case with a lot of things, like consider what might be going on and why they might be reacting that way towards your thing.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it has nothing to do with you. So that's important to remember. And then the last thing is people are just entrenched in their ideas and their positions.
Yeah.
And if it goes against that, it doesn't matter how informative you are being or helpful you're trying to be. If it doesn't go along with what they believe, you kind of had a little bit of a light bulb moment last night when we were talking about the Mac stuff. And I'm like, talking about how there are people in the PC community who like have probably never worked on a Mac or worked with a Mac, who build their PCs. They just automatically hate everything to do with Apple. Doesn't matter.
Right.
And you're like, that's a thing? And I'm like, yeah, dude. So like
Yeah,
people
that's
just get
right.
entrenched in it.
Yeah.
And so those were I didn't have a ton, but
They're perfect. They're perfect. They're poignant. They're into it. Let's get into it. I'm going to echo some of that stuff in different ways.
mhm,
My first kind of perspective on, particularly on critics and trolls, more on the troll side than critics, but it is sort of a shared thing between both, in terms of trying to understand those people who are, passionate about getting on the internet and spewing garbage of some kind. There are more people in the world with some form of mental illness than we understand. Um, and a lot of them have access to the internet, free access to the internet, and just kind of go out there and do their thing on it. Um, and a lot of, there's a lot of people with some form of mental illness who, maybe they have a decent job and car payments and all that kind of stuff as well. You don't really understand what's going on with people. This is echoing back to something you've already sort of covered with that, but something to consider. And you and I think we were going to do a joint episode of the 411, a Bunn show.
Yeah, this is interesting.
And it was about bass or the SRC6 or something like that. And we were just going through all the comments, and we were picking comments that we were going to kind of talk about what was going on in the comment. And there was one fella where we're like, oh, this person really got this whole topic wrong. And they had what would maybe be seen by some as a negative comment, but I was like, oh, sometimes these are the best comments, best questions or whatever, because there's an opportunity to really get inside of the topic, and really shed light on a subject. But the further we went into it, the more we realized that this person just had difficulty, because we were able to actually find them on the internet and follow the trail. And we're like, ooh, we should leave this topic alone.
Yeah.
Because, it might not be a positive to single this person out, because I'm pretty sure something's going on with them.
I thought I could bring up the comment, but I can't find it. But yeah, right. It was it wasn't overtly negative, but it was a very sarcastic and matter of fact way of trying to be a contrarian to what the point you were trying to make. And then we did a little bit of all right, we're gonna highlight this and say listen, I think we were kind of doing an approach on this is what these types of comments can be taken as, and we were going to say where could this person be coming from? And as we did a little bit of digging, we kind of discovered I don't know that this is a good idea.
Yeah.
To bring this up, because and we're not trying to accuse this person of being in any sort of state or not, but it was we didn't want to start anything.
Yeah. And sometimes there's just stuff going on in the background that you just don't know about. And some people can't help themselves or something. Just there's stuff going on with people that you don't understand. It could be a mental health thing. It could be a tic. It could be, they're not neurotypical.
Mm-hmm.
I am not neurotypical, but I don't have mental health problems.
Right.
So that's a different thing in itself. So yeah, being mindful of that stuff. Very, very helpful in terms of quelling the anxiety of interfacing with these trolls and critics and whatnot. They're not always coming from any kind of overtly negative place. Sometimes they got something else going on.
Yeah, if you really kind of look at it that way, you do kind of take the power out of it. It kind of it really blunts the edges. It's not as bad as you ever would make it out to be if you kind of take these different approaches to it.
Yeah. Second thing for me is trolls and critics are often the victims of trolling and bullying and such. A lot of people, what is that saying? Hurt people hurt?
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know.
No, I think that's it.
Hurt people hurt people. That's what it is. And yeah, a lot of people kind of pay their frustration forward, pay their anxiety forward, pay their hatred forward. And that happens a lot. And trying to kind of get inside of that and understand that if that is happening or not is definitely a positive, and allows you to kind of maybe move forward with a little bit of grace. Yeah, sometimes that can get people stuck on the outside of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's another thing. Like, I don't know how much you played. I know you played live and stuff like that. And a lot of people here have played live. It's something that you feel a lot more in the live scene, get involved with a local music scene, or if you're at the center of a local music, many times been at the center of many local music scenes. And something I've noticed is sort of there are always a few anxious people, a few frustrated people kind of on the periphery of it who desperately want to get involved. But they're, they might have social anxiety problems. They might have just incredible shyness, whatever the case may be. And I've suffered from those things earlier in
Mm-hmm.
life. But yeah, sometimes people, they're just frustrated with not being able to get involved, not be able to be on the inside of a topic, inside of a scene, inside of a community, whatever the case may be. And they have never really developed their social skills in such a way where they can communicate like everyone else in that scene is freely communicating and being lively and having fun. So that
Yeah,
happens
for sure.
for sure, eh?
For sure. Yeah, I think there's another side too that there may be an overwhelming like sense of entitlement for some people because they've either done it for X amount of time or done it X amount of times.
That's a good
I
point.
I remember being in the local scene and the band I was in, we were kind of new and we started making a name for ourselves really quickly, and a lot of other bands didn't like that. Like we got a lot of like attitude from other bands because we pride ourselves on like being lively live and being into the crowd and like being tight, and we were a good band, and I think like we started making a name for ourselves really quickly, and there are a lot of people that have just remained dormant in the Milwaukee metal scene that here comes this band that hasn't been together very long, and they're you know
Stirring
playing
the
this
pot.
place or that place. It's like
Yeah.
fuck those guys, and it's like, no man, we don't mean anything. Like what are we supposed to just suck for a while, or like I'm sorry. Like I think you have to look at it that way too. Like listen man, that band has been kicking around for X amount of years, and like this is all the further they've gotten. Like just
Yeah.
consider things.
Yeah.
It's not justifying a shite attitude. It's just consider things before you're just like write off those people entirely.
Dismissive.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go.
There it is. That's pretty much all I have for that topic, or that point rather within the
Yeah.
topic. I guess the cap on it is, constructive criticism. Some people will use that as like an argument to be like, oh, I'm just sharing my constructive criticism. I'm like, I definitely would say that people who do that in an effective way usually share ideas surrounding the topic in an attempt to sort of inspire, uh, further development or growth or options, um, rather than just be like, you did this wrong.
Yeah.
Want to see all the things you did wrong? Because, like, you need to know all the things you did wrong.
Right.
I need to tell you. I need to show the internet that
Yeah,
I found all the things you did wrong.
You need to hear my opinion on everything. Like, wow, dude.
Thankfully, we don't interface with too many of those people. Watch, we're just going to get trolled so hard after
Yeah,
this.
that's okay. It's all right. We have all the tools that we need to deal with it, right?
when we get into point 3, that's what we're going to unleash.
Yeah.
But before we get into point 3, a few comments. Do you have your eyes on any particularly?
Yeah.
I might do my typical put on
Yeah,
a
they go.
headband and go for a jog, do a quick jog.
Yep, gots to. So Aaron says, two examples of people in standby mode and people making moves. Yep, I kind of agree with that. It's if people aren't necessarily like moving in the right direction, those are the kind of people that might lean towards being a little bit negative. Let's see. Yeah, so Synth Chris is a good point too. So much weird gatekeeping and everything. No time for that. Yeah, we were kind of talking about the PC Mac stuff. Like, Bun and I are like, we're not loyal to any one thing. It's like whatever works, whatever helps us get what we're trying to do done, we'll use that thing. And who cares if it's an Apple thing or I have a PC I built downstairs. It doesn't make any sense to say like, people just assume like if you have I have an iPhone and a Mac, I'm just this big, sheep following along with, the Apple, whatever, Turbo with his super insightful comments. Most people don't realize they're often projecting 90% of the time. A lot of cynicism is often a reflection of inner mental states and de-ease with oneself pushed outward. Yeah. Again, with more thoughtful comments from Turbo.
Turbo is Turbo good.
Yeah, he's deep. When an individual fails to acknowledge and internally process negative emotions about their own inaction, they become externalized, and those who are the doers. I think that's exactly kind of what we're getting at. You just said it far more eloquently, and
very, very nice.
You could have shortened our podcast up into like that comment. So where were you, pal? But yeah, that's exactly it, and that's where Bunn and I are trying to say, like, don't just assume they're just this. They weren't always that person, or maybe they were, or maybe they were hurt when they were younger, or bullied, or
and maybe there's an opportunity to give them grace.
Exactly. You guys are talking about 60 Cycle Home Guy about how he loves the trolls, where it's like you could turn a negative thing into a positive. And I've done that before, taken Bunn's approach, like kill them with kindness, or, if they say something like, people say comments time and again about like the way you look or sound or whatever, like, why are your glasses so thick? Like, how is that a helpful comment?
It's so dumb.
Like, you want to know? Because I'm blind. Like, I had surgery on both my eyes too. Like, I'm super conscious about my lazy eye. You want to talk about that as well? It's like, come on. Like, but if you try and take an approach,
my teeth, my cool crooked teeth.
Dude, yeah, me too. It's like, but again, I think that with that, it was more of a question of like a translation type of thing, how it was coming across. Like, right. You can't always assume like maybe it was a genuine question,
right?
My eyes do look big depending on the angle because of these stupid, like, I have old man like bifocals in here, so like they transition. If they're a certain angle, they look huge. I get it.
I need to get those.
I don't know what to tell you. My glasses are thick because I'm blind. So
yeah.
God, you guys are got the thoughtful comments again. There's a quote I like.
How older do I look?
I dig when you have your glasses on, man.
Yeah. These are just reading glasses. And they don't really help for reading anymore. I have to get bifocals now.
Yes. Come over to the other side.
I will.
There's a quote I like from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. If we could read the secret history of our enemies, we should find in each man's life sorrow and suffering enough to disarm all hostility. Dude.
That's a hammer.
This should be like a credence, like a credo, like this is the kind of thing that I hope everybody who like is a follower of us in the Discord and like the community that we build, like have this sort of attitude for most things.
Yeah.
And I think we can, at least with our little orbit, make things a little bit better, you know, like that's it. I'm gonna make a note of this because I'm gonna try and find whatever book I need to find to read about this.
This one here, Stephen shares, gear, stuff, and things. The best response is no response sometimes, or just thumbs up the comment and move on. And I, like, for myself, depending on the sensitivity of the comment and whatnot, I will definitely, I can't remember exactly what situation, but I think there was a situation with your channel, maybe not. But my whole thing was like, do not engage. Just do not engage. Just leave it alone. Because any engagement, actually, I learned the hard way. Not even going to bring that topic up, but you know what I'm talking about. It was a member of a forum.
Yep.
Not a different forum. Anyway, yeah, the lesson from that was I should have not engaged and just, set stricter guidelines for conduct in the group so that, it could have been more effectively moderated in a positive direction rather than it turned into a convoluted mess.
It did.
Yeah.
Well, that was good. It was nice to, like, I kind of saw the learning experience from afar,
right?
A little bit, and saw as you were going through it, and it's, when you're dealing with so many people, like, we weren't meant to necessarily interact or interface with X amount of people at one time.
Large groups, yeah.
Yeah, we are, as much as people don't like to say it, we are a very tribal mammal. Mammals are tribal. It's just how it is. So when you're interfacing with groups and groups, hundreds of people sometimes, you're going to come across stuff that you're going to not know how to handle. And there was no right or wrong way to handle that situation. And it's kind of like, sometimes it needs to play out the way it's going to play out. Yeah, that was a good learning experience.
Yeah. Sometimes just leave things alone. And I don't know. Yeah. And last comment, and we'll get into the final point, and then we'll get all the way into the comments and just have a cool hangout and talk it out. Because the comments are always the most fun for me. I don't know about you, Nick, but
yeah, absolutely.
Kind of want to race through the points because I just want to hang out in the comments. But last one from Dylan. You can also consider that thumbs down and comments are viewed the same way by the algorithm. So anybody bumping or dumping on you is ironically helping boost your video. So this is absolutely true. This is specific to YouTube and is somewhat true in other platforms as well. Although I can't speak to it with as much authority as I can with YouTube. But a thumbs down still ranks you higher, one little notch higher in terms of your content. A comment of any kind ranks.
It's just an interaction. A clicks feed the algorithm. It doesn't matter what it is, to what degree. Yeah.
It's not like, what is it? I think Reddit, where there's like up votes and down votes. I don't use Reddit, but like, I know I've heard about it.
Yeah. I steer somewhat. I put my certain things on Reddit, but I stay away because it's a time suck and a cesspool.
I've never been on it. It's funny, man. I am such a caveman when it comes to so much of the internet.
But there's a finite. There's a certain amount. We only have a certain amount of time. Like, how can you?
It's one of your points.
I don't. Yeah. Yeah. I don't get it either.
Yeah. But we're going to move on to point 3. Final point. Do you want to open this one up, or do you want me to? It's up to you.
Well, you go for it because I didn't really have.
Oh, right. In terms of that part, but that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, do you want to
Yeah, I can.
kind of
So I can read the
illuminate
Yeah.
the point?
So we have here the consequences and the path. As far as the consequences go, there really are none. It's all in your head and has everything to do with perception, and that's kind of what we've been talking about. There are two paths in the realm of positive and productive. Both involve running straight at it in a way. One, being thankful and carry on with grace. Again, we've touched upon that, and kind of touches to what Dylan was saying,
Yeah, and Sean.
like, and yeah, and Sean and a few of you other guys, like
Yeah.
any interaction is like a win. Look at it that way.
Yeah.
And two, just never looking at it, any of it, good or bad, keeping your attention only on the work. So basically, like I was saying, post and ghost.
Yeah, that is an alternative. You can kind of go about it two different ways, two different
Yeah.
paths, I guess.
Yeah.
Post and ghost.
One or both of those things, like either of those things could be good for certain situations, and either of them could be a poor way of approaching it too, you know?
I agree.
So I think if you have both of these things in your mind, like just being grateful and giving people grace, whether or not it be good or bad, and then
depending on the timing and situation, maybe just
like
post and ghost.
just post and ghost. Yeah. It's like I do this with Instagram a lot because I find myself getting sucked into their, their algorithmic brainwashing like platform that they want you to keep looking. So I don't even go into Instagram. I post from a third-party app, and I will set aside some time to interact with people who have interacted with me because I don't want to ignore people.
Yeah.
I'm very, very bad at that with Facebook because I just don't like Facebook at all. We don't need to get into it because I talk about it all annoyingly, but posting, and then you need to interact with your following and your crew and the people who are showing you attention, but batch it and just don't. Yeah, I'm tangenting here, but
no,
anyway,
for sure.
Yeah.
All 100% relevant.
Yeah.
And I think thinking about that, how you highlight, Instagram, this is what's going on. YouTube, this is what's going on. Facebook, this is what's going on. We've kind of talked about that part before. It's like focus on the things that you enjoy using and that are a positive experience. And what my Carrie always says, go where it's warm. So if YouTube is, something Aaron from Baritone Cult, he focuses entirely on YouTube, and it shows, he's grown his channel significantly in less than a year. And he's just focused on one thing. So there's a benefit to it as well. He enjoys it there, and he is highly focused on that place on YouTube. But go where it's warm. Do the things that you enjoy. If it's a negative experience as a whole platform, just don't go there. I don't use Twitter. I posted on Twitter for the first time this past week in months and months and months. And I was like, I should just.
The only reason I post to Twitter is because of that third-party app. That's it. Otherwise.
Oh, that's the other thing. I use all the consoles. I typically don't use the apps themselves.
Yeah.
So with YouTube, I use YouTube Creator Studio. I don't use regular YouTube.
Yes.
With Facebook and Instagram, I use their Creator Studio.
Mm-hmm.
I do not use the actual platform. And then with, what is it? Twitter, I use TweetDeck. And that's Twitter's own little console thing. So the benefit of that is you see all of your interactions, and you can interact with all of the things, and you can follow specific things specific people and specific things, and interact with the things that you really want to support.
But you yourself aren't getting sucked into
Getting
the,
sucked. Yeah. You're like,
yeah,
I'm here to do some work and
yes,
also to show some love and support for things that are important to me, and important to my community. But,
yeah,
I also, in order to be part of this, the whole thing, I have to do some work.
right,
So, I use those kinds of tools because they make it a lot easier to kind of just focus on what's ahead of you. So for the rest of you who are doing these sorts of things and you're not going about it that way, look into the various consoles and tools that the platforms provide that might make it a little bit easier to interact in ways that are a little bit more methodical and focused.
yes. That's the big thing. Focus, like
Yeah.
being deliberate with your interactions and your time.
Yeah.
It's key for this kind of thing.
Key. But I'm going to wrap up my points here on this
Yeah,
point 3. Number one thing is I'm massively thankful for anyone who has any amount of seconds in their day for whatever I'm doing. So negative
hmm,
comments, thumbs down, whatever. It's like, if you were that motivated to interact with me and what I'm doing, I'm like, wow, because I'm just a guy.
yeah,
Just a guy in Toronto. And the next thing for me, point 3, the consequences in the path. Because I'm not personally neurotypical, and I've had to do a lot to kind of become the person that I am in terms of a social person, an interactive person, a person who can kind of like integrate into society in a meaningful way. For those who don't know, I am Asperger's, and which is on the autistic spectrum, I suppose. There's a lot of talk about the confusion of all of that, but doesn't really matter. I don't want to get into it.
right.
But I'm not neurotypical. I am in that zone. And I had to adapt to be the person that I am. And now I've done so much to that. Things are kind of just second nature. I don't think about things anymore. I used to have to sort of think about how am I going to interact with things. But because I've had that kind of past, I feel like I'm a lot more sympathetic to things like trolls and critics and jackasses and whatnot. People who, a lot of times, I think these people are reaching out. Not always, but a lot of times. And I've had
Yeah,
some experiences where I've engaged with some of these people in an extremely positive way, and it has turned the whole thing around. And now we have meaningful relationships. I will leave names out on that, but that has happened for real.
yeah. That's cool though, and
Yeah.
I think it's I can tell that, like, um I wonder if you can see, like, when I get emotional with interactions or with comments, or
Sometimes, yeah.
like, okay, like, I'm just always curious because I know that about you. I know your situation, and just how you are way more likely to interact with them, and real quickly kind of taking this approach, like, consider what's happening, where I'm very emotionally reactive sometimes.
Right.
So
I feel like that has changed for you a lot in this last year.
it has.
It's just like that seems to be the observation. I can't speak for you, but
No,
that's
you're
what it
right.
looks like.
And
Yeah.
most of it is a number of things, in our working together, like, just knowing that it doesn't have to be a negative, and, like, we got so much stuff we're working on. I can't give it more time. I can't give it emotional energy and time,
Yeah.
you know? Like, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I feel like that all caps all of that off. I guess the very last thing, you've already covered it, but just little bow on little ribbon on the cake here. Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of the time, are just looking to connect.
Yeah.
And they just happen to be really bad at how they connect.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
terrible at it.
Yeah.
But they just kind of want to be like, oh, like you're doing something that I enjoy or that is just fun for me. They don't even need to have a good reason. That's the other thing. Like nobody needs to have a good reason to interact with something. It's just like, you don't know why it is they enjoy what you're doing or why it is they want to reach out to you. But a lot of times they just kind of want to be like, oh, I'm here. Hey, hey. And they're bad at it.
Yeah.
Which is
And,
fine.
well, we're weird. People are weird,
Yeah.
and
Human beings in general are
for
pretty
us,
weird.
it's what I think is the most weird is how like we kind of talked about islands, being stuck on our own emotional islands. It's like we think in the time, in the feeling, which is always temporary. Like if you think about it, feelings and emotions, they're sort of like a fake thing. It's just like a temporary thing
Mm-hmm.
that eventually is gone. Like
Until reason creeps in.
until reason creeps in, but like we always think like we're the only ones having been through it or going through it ever. And it's like
Right. Huge. Yeah.
we all go through these exact same things. They're just like in different shapes.
Yeah.
So uh, the more you kind of step back and try to have this outlook of like embracing differences and also realizing like we're not like emotionally and mentally we're not so different, like despite
Yeah.
there's just you just have to be open.
Yeah.
You really just have to be open, you
It,
know.
it, or it really helps to be open in a huge way.
Yeah, it does help. I
Yeah.
mean, to make things more difficult for yourself
Oh, that's a key point right there.
is like really silly, and I can say that with confidence. I have done that time and time again. Like one of the biggest, in full candid kind of conversation here. Like the biggest issue that me and my wife have had over the course of our relationship, we've been together almost 10 years now, is I'm like I went from this real quiet, shy guy to sort of coming out of my shell a little bit, then getting real like in a bad situation and shat on by people and relationships that I came out of the other end too blunt and too outspoken and too brash, like way the other way, way
Nick
the other way.
the Hammer.
Just just ridiculously blunt, ridiculously brash. Just because I felt like I needed to, like, I don't know. I was dealing with what I had been through, and with my wife, Tony, we had this conversation once. It was a couple of years ago now, where I have this habit of like caring. If I care, I will share my thoughts, opinions, and experiences, and be very animated and emotional, like
Mm-hmm.
about it. And if I don't care about you, you get nothing. So that's
Right.
when I'm most like that. I'm very loud and I'm sharing what I think it should be done. And this is where I've been through this. And I'm very this way, this way, this way. And it comes across like I'm just being mean or overly like too hard on somebody or an asshole.
Yeah.
And there came a point where Tony, I'm like, do you want me to sugarcoat things? And she said, yes, sometimes.
Right.
So like not everybody responds in the same way that you respond. Like I'm very much like kick myself in the ass. Like I say very terrible things to myself to motivate me, to get me going. And not everybody is like that, and when
Yeah.
people hear me talking about myself like that, they're just like, why are you, no, stop it. Don't be so like, no, 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 no. This is how I respond. This is how I am. Like when like I'm dealing with my weight right now, like I say terrible things to get myself going and motivated.
Yeah.
And the point I'm trying to make is like you just have to consider. You can still be you, but also consider like what your words are falling on and how they might be piling up,
Yep.
and um, perspective, kind of perspective, a little bit.
Yeah. That is key. We're going to move into the comments. Turboplasma Chicken has a little bit here
Yes.
that ties into what you're talking about. 4,000%. And he says, I don't relate to greater society and mass culture at all. Stopped trying to fit in a long time ago. But I have a big love for everybody and their weird ass ways. Always give people time. It's not exactly what you, but I think it fits in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And yeah, acknowledge that you're different. I acknowledge that maybe even that you're stubborn, which is, I think, what you're doing. I am this way, but I need to consider that the world is not my way. And if I want to have a meaningful relationship with the world, whatever slice of the world that might be, being considerate and having some grace and whatnot is very, can really help everything move along in a positive way.
It's like Walter says to Donnie, the world does not stop and start at your convenience, you miserable piece of the Lebowski right there.
The Lebowski. I'm going to get along to a few more comments here real quick, but like we're going to get into the comments full on. We're done with the today's topic. And if you're just joining us now, just the cap on it was critics and trolls. It's in the title. You know what today's topic is all about. But I do want to share, if you're interested in our Discord, we have a Discord. I think most of the people here are in it, but if you're not, whoa. And you'd like to get involved with our Discord server, we are still sharing it in our live streams most of the time. It is here. And you're welcome to hang out there. It's a beautiful place. We get into great conversations here in these live streams. And a lot of times, once the live stream's done, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to keep talking. This is a great topic, or it's inspired a whole new topic. We want to
Discord is the place for that. Yep.
It's great. And so far, everything is very positive, and
it's been great. It really has.
Yeah. And that's not to say that differences of opinion are not welcome. They are.
No, not at all. Yeah.
But, have some grace and, always consider the other person. But not everybody has to agree. We can disagree on certain things. That's
absolutely
totally the nature of this life and what makes it amazing.
Should we do a friendly reminder for the
That's right. And almost every episode, people are like, oh, what about YouTube memberships and all that stuff? We don't qualify for YouTube memberships or YouTube monetization. But we do have some minor costs involved in doing this. And sometimes people just want to help out. So if you want to help out with, what it takes to put this together, it's not a huge cost, but there is some costs. If you want to help with that, or if you just want to help the whole thing move forward, there is a Patreon, and there's only one
in there.
Awesome. There's only one tier. And if you want to come along with us, who knows what we can build. But we just launched it today. I guess we launched it right now. And that's there. And if you're like, Patreon's complicated, I don't want to get involved in that kind of stuff, we also have just a regular old PayPal link, and just PayPal the dollars over to Nick so you can pay for the software. Anthony Nito, Mr. Anthony Nito, he says, thank you. Tons of awesome comments too. Really appreciate hearing from everybody. Yeah. And that's something that I want to highlight here is I really look forward to the live streams, mostly for the interactions and kind of a lot of times just kind of keeping up with the conversations that are happening. It's not even about my conversation. So
Yeah, Bunn and I often talk about how thoughtful and articulate and like just, I mean, thoughtful is the best word that your guys' comments are, and how into these topics you get. So it's always good.
Yeah, always good. But Nick Hill, I'm gonna jump into some comments here. Do you have
Yeah.
any? Do you have one that you want to kick off, or do you want me to
Um,
kick off?
let's throw up Kevin's comment because
Yeah.
he's been jumping in to comments and live streams and
Yep.
videos, and he says, "I'm coming back to music after 20 years off. What are your thoughts on having someone else mix and master your music to only focus on writing while I relearn mixing again? I was a radio, TV, film major."
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, if you feel like you need to dedicate more time to just composing and writing and wanna, that's a very common thing people do is to delegate.
Hmm.
By all means,
Yeah.
do it. I just got so far into it because of you know
Right.
poor musician, but
Yeah.
but absolutely. While you brush up, if you want to delegate some of that stuff, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I think you and I, Nick, we probably push that a lot because it's just our normal. Uh, and yeah,
Yeah.
our story getting into it is the same. I just got into it because I couldn't afford to pay someone to do it for so long. And then I got okay at it. And I think that's also your story. You got a lot further into like kind of the produced kind of results. But nonetheless, we're both capable as a result of the need first. And then you get so far into it and you're like, I just like it now. I just like doing it. So, but never mistake that us talking about production and doing it all yourself, that we're saying that you should do it all yourself. It's just
Right.
like, if you're in a situation where that's your only option, I think what our message is that you can do it. Almost anyone can do it. Look at that poochie. Tasty little poochie.
Pooch. Yeah, I mean, as a matter of fact, a lot of my earlier stuff that ended up like with the partisan component with Jeff and some of my early releases, I was getting mastered with like Lander, until
Yep.
I was kind of like felt comfortable doing it myself, and now I just do it myself. And this, yeah, I mean, there's tools out there for you.
Remember when I was pressuring you to master it yourself?
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
just do it, Nick. You're like, but this. I'm like, just do it.
yeah. That's what's the beautiful thing. We push each other like the same way that Bunn was like, I can't live stream, I can't do it.
It's true.
I'm like,
You're like,
you
dude,
can
we're
do
gonna
it.
figure this out. We're gonna figure
Let's
it out together.
freaking do it.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. I got one here from where was it? It might be a little ways back. Oh shoot. I might have lost it.
Don't lose it.
Oh, here, yeah. Steven, Gear Stuff and Things. This one's pretty good. Going back to the initial kind of topic here. Text is often removed of context. So you have to kind of kid gloves all the time. Yeah.
This is true, man. That's really true.
There are a lot of folks who never had any reason to develop their text communication. And a lot of times have no idea that the way that they're posing, sometimes even a compliment, is awful.
Yeah,
because it's in text format and it lacks context.
That is just the stupid nature of our communication right now as humans, is because
Yeah.
it's so text driven. It doesn't, I don't care how great of a writer you are. Stephen hits on a very good point here, and it's funny how quickly we forget about it, because when I'm having text exchanges with Tony, it can go south real quick because sarcasm cannot be detected by voice to text. It's like, it's not going to translate, man, and
No.
and it doesn't translate. It doesn't translate in the comment section either,
No.
So it's like you have to have this filter on, almost like,
Yeah.
this automatic like filter that this could be sarcastic or tongue in cheek,
Tongue in cheeky.
Yeah. So This is it's very good point,
Yeah.
Stephen.
I got another one here. Ian Gorey, he says he's also Asperger's, and he's not the most social person, but the interactions he has had, positive or negative, have allowed him to understand people better than he used to. And this is a great one. Whether you're, autistic or neurotypical, doesn't matter. The point of this is exposure. And one of the things I think that this episode seeks to get at is sometimes the fear of these kinds of consequences of being judged keeps us from doing a thing. However, doing the thing is the very thing we need, the exposure to the interactions, the exposure to the community, the exposure to things to get better at it.
Yeah.
And like I say, it doesn't matter if you're autistic, neurotypical, or otherwise. But for myself anyway, as an
Get those
autistic
toys.
person, I think I'm more sensitive to it all. But I'm still autistic. Do you got one there?
Yeah. This is a good one that I need to tell myself regularly. The less you take yourself seriously, the easier it is to be open to others and not take them seriously. It's the great mirror. Turbo with some more deep knowledge here. Yep. Let's see. There's more. It's fine to take the music seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously or things get weird quick. Yes.
Yeah. Have fun with it.
It's sort of like what you said. Like at the end of the day, it's just music. It's just a song. It's just a video. It's just a blog post. It's just a t-shirt design. Who cares?
Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah. Whatchamacallit, Development of a Void says, all of us together make a complete human. It's necessary to let our differences be themselves to get closer to ourselves. That's a good one. Yeah. There's greater self-understanding through the exposure to many people, which in turn gives you greater understanding of many people, many more people. Brilliance there.
This is interesting. Tyler says, how do you help someone when you want to help, but you have to tell them they're wrong?
Yeah.
You have to rely on the relationship you have with that person.
Right.
And suggest that they might be wrong. Or find a way.
So
you're probably a little more eloquent when it comes to this. This is where my brash and bluntness will get in the way of a potentially therapeutic interaction with somebody.
I think one of the ways that I'll usually address a situation like that is through the presentation of options. So instead of highlighting that they're wrong at all, I'll be like, okay, well, this is your current process and situation. And the result is this. And these are your other potential processes and situations and results. How do they compare? And what would you prefer?
Yeah, isn't that the ultimate pragmatic approach, if you think about it?
Yeah, for me, it's the only one that doesn't make me crazy.
No, you're very good at that, because we've been chipping away at those old thumbnails. And when I presented one to you that didn't work, you always had an alternative. Like, what if you tried this? Right. And I'm like, okay, I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Instead of like, nah, I don't like that one.
Not gonna lie, that was pretty fun. Hey, I can't wait to do more.
Like, I wish we had more stuff to take pictures. I love photography. I always forget how much I love it, and being able to design those thumbnails was like, I want to do more so we can.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah, it is just fun. That's what it was. It was like, no, I'll do this one, and then you did that one. It's like, it was fun. Yeah.
And I think that part, like, instead of wrong, it's like thinking about, like, also, why are we here? Why are we having this conversation? Why are we doing this thing? And okay, well, we're both just having fun and being creative and whatnot, and sort of understanding like why both of you are, whoever the contesting opinion might be or a contesting point of view might be. If you can both agree as to why you're there, and it's a good place, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
In keeping the whole thing going forward in a great way.
Something my bosses have taught me or kind of really demonstrated is like the removal of ego. So it's like in my job where, I'm a video producer and editor and videographer, it's like you might technically know something more about X or Y. But if there's another person that can like add to the conversation, it's worth not necessarily asserting yourself in that situation where it's like you could have just said like, this is exactly what I want for this thumbnail and don't do anything but take this exactly how I want it. And instead you're like, we bounced ideas off. Right. We bounced ideas off of it. Like we're both, okay, we were like break. And then we did something and I presented you with something and a couple of them, you're like, perfect. And then the one you're like, what if he did this? It's like, I could have been like, what's fucking wrong with that one? But I'm like, you got to remove your ego, realize it's like a sum of the parts. We're a team at that moment and we're aiming for one thing, a good thumbnail collectively. So like, remove your ego, and it's difficult to do for a lot of people, myself included at times. But if you can kind of approach things in that way, your name's still on it, man. It's like if you really need the recognition,
if that's crucial to you. For me, I'm just like, I just want to have fun, make cool things, and I think that's where, in that little project, that's what we both had in common there. Is not really related, but related. Nick's got his dogs, Baritone Cult. He has 2 kids. Both are dogs. Dogs are the best. Dogs are pretty amazing.
Pooches are great. I have 2 kids though too, but
you have all of it. You're like, I got it. What do you want to, want to check out my dogs, or you want to check out my kids? They're all high performers. They can all jump through fiery hoops, and they all know how to sit.
Yeah, so you can sort of see Stanley. We got Stanley not that long ago. He was a massively abused pooch in some terrible conditions.
Poochie.
So we've been really kind of showering him to kind of turn him around, and his demeanor is completely 180. It's kind of a nice thing to see. It also boggles my mind how anybody can be like
mean to a dog,
dismissive or mean to an animal of any kind. That you aren't like hunting for food. That is a domestic animal. There's no excuse as far as I'm concerned.
No.
But pooches are cool. My kids are cool too, but they're 19 and 17, so
I wish we had like an applause, balloons, and confetti button. The big horn.
Yeah, we just gotta learn that, and I know there's a way.
But Barry Prosser, thank you.
Barry, thank you, brother.
The support, man. That is huge. I think you're our first guy. I can't see it right now. Or can I open it? Oh, I can.
A lot of
one patron. Thank you, Barry. That's
Bunn, a lot of positive comments on on what we're doing and the stream in general, and how it seems to be helping people. And so like I'll just pull them up.
Awesome.
Baritone Cult, I'm so grateful for these shows. Thanks to you both for doing these. Looking forward to them. Aaron, brother, thank you. Aaron of Baritone Cult has shown his support, to Bunn and I in huge ways. And he dove into YouTube this past year and is
Yeah.
doing a bang up job at growing his channel and creating visually great looking content. And kudos to Aaron for growing his channel so quickly and being a
Yeah.
supporter of the community and of Bunn and myself. So we appreciate you, Aaron. Seriously, like thank
Yeah.
you, and we're glad to kind of build this. And Bunn and I saw pretty quickly that this community is like seems to be helpful. Not just it's helpful to Bunn and I too.
Yeah. That's what
Um,
I thought that's what you meant, but yeah, I guess it's important to highlight that.
oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I see it
It's
in the
like, it
comments.
goes
It's
both
like,
ways.
it does. It does. It really does. Let's see.
Cosman, how are you? You're never late. Any amount of the Cosman is the perfect amount of time or perfect timing for the Cosman. Hope you are well. Highlighted you at the beginning of the show. Oh, I love this. It's like Cosman's in and it's like Turbo Plasma. Hey, Cosman. Sean Heath. Hey, Cosman. Anthony. Hey, Cosman.
Yeah.
See, this is the best part about all of this like world that we are all involved in. Oh, it's so good. And we're all from different areas of the whole world. It's crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah, I want to talk about this. Turbo says such a positive and genuine community. And I know at least this has crossed my mind. So please, Bunn, tell me I'm wrong. But like, there's like Bunn and I are generally pretty positive guys, and I think that's gonna reflect in the community that we kind of build
Right.
and people that start following us. It's not fake. Like Bunn and I are very open to other people's opinions and open discussions about stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, like it's just a preference. Like it doesn't need to be full of
Right.
vitriol and constant barrage of BS. It doesn't have to be that way. And I think this is like kind of proof that we can all come from different places. We can all have differing opinions on things. I mean, I'm sure music would run the gamut if we were to like go over music in the Discord.
Yeah. We should do that.
We should.
What's your top 3? It doesn't matter. There's no goal to it. It's just like, what's your top 3 favorite bands, just to get a lay of the land.
Like I'll run the gamut. So
yeah,
I'll say Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
I'll say Periphery, and I'll say Steven Wilson. So everybody knows Tom Petty. Everyone knows pretty much Periphery in this group, and Steven Wilson is like a prog rock guy. So it's like,
wow, yeah.
But there would be hip hop in there too. So
for sure. And I have that in a different sort of category of my life, but I also have a hip hop space. But yeah, for me it would be probably. Should I do it in order? I don't think there is an order. There's no order. So maybe number 1 would be Mare. Number 2 would be Battles. Number 3 would be something new, actually, Yashura. I'm really into Yashura right now. But I don't know. Those are just the 3 things that come to the top of my head, right off the top of my head. But
hey, Randy. Yeah, I haven't heard of any of those.
One day.
No, I know. I look forward to it.
But to kind of like cap or add a little micro bit to your the genesis of that little bit of your thing. Am I making sense? No,
you're trying to get there. Trying to get there.
But about positivity and that being stoked is a choice. And yeah, and I think a lot of people in this world that we're all connected in, this Bandless world, this Nick Hill world, this baritone obsessed world, etc. I think the whole thing there is a lot of people identify with that. It's like being stoked is a choice, being positive is a choice. And I choose that for myself, even though some points of some days and some total days and some total months are really hard.
Absolutely.
Um,
It's today. I mean, today for me, I had a real shite day today, and I
right.
told Bunn this a little bit before. Like, I'm having a day. I'll be on. We do our little. We try to get on early to test everything, and he's like, totally get in a good headspace. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, but overwhelmingly, the direction is, towards positive and a stoked outlook. It makes things easier. It's too easy to fall into that other stuff.
Yeah. And, what Cosmans, shares here is exactly that. And I think you could just keep looping this.
Come here.
Want to be positive, get around positive people, be positive, attract positive people, et cetera, et cetera. And it just keeps looping and looping and looping. And
Yep.
the cycle of positivity creates more positivity. And this isn't like, what do you call it? Self-help or anything like that. It's just kind of what you focus on is generally going to be in your face,
I think
and
I think that's not to derail you, but I think that is something too. How we always joke about how we're talking about like feelings in this group,
yeah,
and being man, it's not always the coolest thing to talk about our feelings and what we're going through. But
you're
you just
so
made a good point about like positivity, like having a positive or self-help. You prefaced it. You're like, this isn't like self-help, but like self-help and being positive is just frowned upon sometimes, and it always boggles my mind. It's like, why? I know it's fun being a pessimist. I know it's fun being a sarcastic, like taking a cynic, like it's fun, but like you can't dwell in that space.
yeah.
You can't. I mean, you shouldn't. At least that's my opinion. But like,
I find it very difficult to be creative in a negative state of mind. I had a period, this is quite a while ago, quite a few years ago, but where I wasn't able, I didn't, I left a band. My intention was to do something else, but I was dwelling on my situation.
mm-hmm,
And it made its way into every part of my life. I couldn't find a job because I was super negative all the time. Like everything about the whole situation was negative. And all of the results of everything that was happening was negative because I was approaching everything from an ultra negative point of view.
yeah,
I don't know. I think I was 20 something or whatever.
I've been there. I have a whole story I could tell about this. The
Yeah.
exact
It's just,
same.
it's not voodoo. It's just like, if you're negative, you typically will inspire negative results and people will interface with you in a negative way because you're negative. It's that easy. And you're more likely to be inspired and creative if you're kind of like focused on like, yeah, stoked. I want to do this thing. I want to play guitar.
It's just a
So
good direction. It's a good
it's
direction. It's
great.
like a good beak. It's a good beacon.
Yeah. And Kevin O'Brien says draconian swallow the sun or draconians swallow the sun and clouds. They do.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember I listened to Swallow Sun for a little bit.
I think this is going to be the first Bandless t-shirt.
Being stoked as a choice. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do it in that American Apparel style with the Helvetica bold, just like Bam Bam Bam.
Do it.
Yeah. I'm into Sean Heath is into Lil Armstrong, Glenn Miller, and Opeth. That's a wide.
Yeah. I
I should put it on
Opeth, it really consumed a giant chunk of my life. So I'm a Opeth fan for sure.
Right. What should we call it? Ian's like, oh, you showed my comment, but didn't read it because I just put it up because it was also in the thing that we were talking about. But cynicism and pessimism are overrated. Ian says, overrated nowadays. don't make it worse. Stay positive.
Oh yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like, it just totally encapsulates the whole thing that we were talking about. I saw it. And I'm like, this is it. But yeah, Ian, you're on it.
I personally love having those moments. You know, I
Yeah, a
will
little
do
moment
that.
to
Yeah.
tear something apart, tear the world apart for
Yeah.
just a
Like
second.
my kids will make fun of me because they'll say like, "Dad, you're the biggest hater out there." And it's like I hate most things that I have either done wrong myself. That's what I'm hating on, you know?
Yeah,
Like so I try to have fun with it. But then I'm like, but I also am willing to do and help anybody. Anybody doesn't matter, you know? So
yeah.
let's acknowledge that Baritone Cult also joined the
Oh
Patreon.
yeah, look at
So
that.
keeping up on his long streak of being supportive. Thank you, Aaron. Really, really
Aaron,
appreciate it.
you're the best. Thank you. Whatchamacallit? I like this. I feel like this is sort of my whole thing. Dark, heavy, aggressive music with a posi-core ska attitude. Got to listen to Less Than Jake after the show now.
So yeah, it's man, just thinking about myself musically, how all over the place. I love ska. I'm very much into this like new reggae. Like it's I'm like dark aggressive music. I like pop punk.
Yeah,
I'm a mess.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, no effects, propaganda, strung out, lagwagon. I love all that stuff so much. But yeah, the Aquabats,
Aquabats, man.
Travis Barker's first band, I think. Was he not
Really?
the drummer in the Aquabats? Maybe
I don't
not.
know.
Uh,
The Aquabats, such a
but they're like
fun
hyper ska,
band,
hyper ska. Yeah, just
but
like
just
good
silly
times.
too.
Yeah,
Just
fun.
all amazing musicians.
Yeah,
Silly songs, but some of the best ska and ska punk you'll hear. Um, Aqua, the Barbie song band.
no Aquabats.
No, yeah, Anthony's
That's what I
saying he
mean.
was in Aqua.
Yeah, but he's just
Oh, he
shortened it.
shortened it.
Yeah, because
Don't.
that's what when you're in the scene, like we're in a scene right now.
Oh,
When you're in
my
the scene,
bad.
you talk scene
My
talk.
bad.
Yeah,
Somebody was talking about gatekeeping earlier.
bro. Like Anthony's talking about Aquaman, like not Aqua, but like Aqua. You know what I mean? Like get in the scene. That's what we do. That's
Oh
how we do it.
yeah, yeah.
That's how I do it. I don't know. Like, if we're talking about Opeth, I was listening to O the other day,
No, no one's sharded. No, Bunn. So Ian says something to think about. We're in a space full of heavy music fans and creators. The music is a good outlet for us and allows us to vent our aggression. I 100% agree with this.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
And before I forget, there's the Slipknot video where everybody is going to the house. I forget which one it is. That to me is like, that's why I listen to heavy music. It doesn't make me aggressive. It levels it just levels your emotions. It's an outlet. That's a perfect way of saying it. It's an outlet.
Yeah.
And I think people who are ignorant to heavy or metal or whatever, duality. Thank you, Steven. You need to Steven needs to be like in the show in our ears. You know what I mean?
on the comm.
Yeah, we need to bring Steven just in the stream so he can be back there. He can pop himself on screen and say, "Okay, this is what you guys said wrong. Nick, the video you're talking about was duality, you idiot." Oh man.
I'm glad there's somebody with wisdom on our
Skagate,
team.
Ska Gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so like Mad Caddies is more like
Oh,
their
yeah.
ska band, but they're also got this New Orleans type of vibe. I love Mad Caddies.
Yeah, super fun bands.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm catching up. No.
Steven is going to be on the pod. Dylan's going to be on the pod.
We'll bring this up in a second.
I'm just reading. People are like, get Steven on the pod. Like, yeah, he's going to be.
Yeah.
We're working on bringing some guests in.
Yeah.
About.
We have the outlines already written, or mostly written, and it's just a matter of coordination now. And I'm like kind of freshly solo, although I have to go back next week to do some more training. They're like, hey, it would be really helpful if you could show us what you do with this. I'm like, I don't do anything. I have hacks for everything. We're gonna have to we're gonna have to just come up with something. Anyway, another story. But
Yeah.
but yeah, now that I'm kind of have more time, I have a lot more ability to sort of allocate time and resources to coordinating these things in a very meaningful way, and also attempting to elevate the production quality of the show, like bring in some assets and music and all that kind of stuff, and guests, and just do way more. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. But Mr. Cosman says he missed the entire an entire period of music, meaning he was sort of out of it for a while, and he's catching up. So currently he's listening to Nevermore, KSE. What's KSE? Do you know?
Kill Switch Engage.
Oh, okay, KSE. Seven Dust, and digging with some of the vets. Like Old Testament, Overkill. Yeah, I loved Testament and Overkill when I was like young. I still like them. I just, it doesn't go into rotation.
There's so many classic. I mean, like, so Cosman, like Arch Enemy, The Haunted, In Flames around that time, Testament around that time, Nevermore, of course, as you're getting into. Geez, what else? There was like Shadows Fall that came out, or like kind of got big when Kill Switch was coming up. What's the other band? There's a lot of post-hardcore metal bands that were like really big. Damn it.
Metalcore.
I just
listened and all that stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. There's
what's that Milwaukee band?
I don't know.
They were big. I did some tours with them. They're like half of them were from Milwaukee and half of them were from Edmonton, Alberta.
Lamb of God, God forbid. Oh, yeah, I mean, geez.
Not those.
Oh yeah, Byzantine. That as I lay dying. Oh my God, Steven, you're going to be on the show next time. Yeah, Mastodon is great. I'm just trying to think of that era that Cosman is talking about where he kind of missed. I'm trying to think of the bands that I was into. Like, look up Testament, The Gathering. It's got to be one of the heaviest bands of all time. Our albums.
Yep.
Damn it.
Since
there's a bunch of bands like on the tip of my
It'll come.
Get back to yeah.
Since Chris says he's getting back into Mastodon recently, and I've been running Leviathan and Remission albums like back to back a lot lately. I don't know. Seems like those are not the more popular albums out there, but holy crap, the riffs on those albums are so good.
There we go. Yeah, ironically enough, I've been listening to like Emperor of the Sun, and I've been listening to Mastodon too. What's going on here?
It's Mastodon season.
It's Mastodon month. Soilwork, Dark Tranquility. Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah. Bertone Call asks if Bunn is available for freelance work. Potentially, now that I am not officially employed. So yeah, send me an email. Tell me what you want to do, and even if I can't help, I may have resources or people that can. So. For sure. Send me an email.
Demon Hunter. Yep. I remember being into Demon Hunter for a while. And they were like a Christian metal band too. So I was like, interesting.
Who, Demon Hunter?
Yeah.
Are they really a Christian band?
They were at one time considered a Christian. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but
there was that whole scene of like Tooth and Nail records of like nothing but Christian bands. There were a lot of good bands on that. Solid State Records, Tooth and Nail Records.
I'm not trying to be a pessimist or a cynicism. What you know, I'm not trying to spin this, but I feel like that was very much a thing to do, is to say you were a Christian metal band,
Because it had
or
this contrast to it.
well, it had a built-in following. You know, you could get on
It
those
did.
circuits,
Yeah.
and if you were a Christian metal band, like you sort of had built-in following really quickly.
Yeah. And some people were exposed for manipulating that
Yeah.
in that time. I don't know where any of that's at these days, but yeah, there was a big Christian scene, like heavy music scene for a good chunk of the early 2000s. And it was really interesting. Got to tour
Uh,
with a bunch of those bands, all bang up folks.
I have a
Uh,
guys who are talking about missing chunks of metal. I have a playlist that I've been slowly putting together of all the metal that I've listened to over the course of my,
a,
musical life.
Spotify,
Yeah, Spotify
right?
playlist. I
Can you
can
share it?
probably, yeah, I think so. I'll
You
figure
should
out a
share
way
it.
to share it, and then you
Maybe
guys can,
share it in the Discord. We should
yeah.
have that. That's initially what I was saying, is like we should kind of do this in the Discord and just kind of have a thing where also people can share links, because so that if people are like, oh, this is what you're listening, what do you listen to right now? Top three listening to today. That's what the thread is going to be. And
Yeah.
and you share 3 links every day that you want to.
You guys are getting real annoyed
Doesn't
with
matter.
my
Yeah.
three links. They'll like just be shuffling.
It's
They'll
like,
be like
oh, what is,
number th
but you might, like, other people might be like, oh, Nick Hill is like really reflects what I am interested in. And maybe there's like a meaningful relationship that comes out of that, or maybe even a musical collaboration. Like, we get each other. You don't even
Yeah,
know.
that's true. That's true.
I don't know. I think it could be cool. And it's so simple. I gotta go jogging again.
Oh, do it.
Liquid
Do
Death.
it.
Liquid Death is pepping up my
I'll
step.
uh I'll go over some of the bands that are in my let's see. It's called Nick Hill's Massive Metal Playlist. It's more than just metal, of course, but like I have, Catatonia is another band that, you know, they're from Sweden, one of those Swedish metal bands that has a sound all their own. I got into Lacuna Coil for a bunch of years, and I still love what they do. Testament, of course, The Haunted. Um, let's see, the Haunted for days. Let's see here, Arch Enemy. A lot of Arch Enemy albums that I was into. Lamb of God, of course. Opeth. Opeth played a huge role in my life musically. For decades I listened to them. God forbid. Devin Townsend, of course. Um, but back then he was obviously in um, Strapping Young Lad. And like at the time, I remember listening to Strapping Young Lad, and I was like, "Wow, this is over my head." It was crazy. It was just such insane, intense metal. And now I go back and listen to it, like, okay, I get it. Um, Geez, At the Gates, of course,
Oh, At the
played a
Gates,
yeah,
man. Terminal Spirit Disease, that album, I've probably
such a
listened to
good
it.
album.
Yeah, I think I've listened to it like 2,000 times.
Yeah, um, yeah, I'm a fanboy for Devin, so that. But like I said, when he was in Strapping, I didn't get it. Like it took me a while to understand certain types of metal and the aggression behind it. Trivium. Somebody mentioned Trivium. Trivium still is, killing it. Kill Switch. I remember following them from the beginning. Soilwork, following them from the beginning. Geez, so much. Nemec. I think we talked about Nemec in a live stream before. Their Hatebreed. Hatebreed I got into late. I didn't like them for a lot of years, being a huge metalhead, and I think as I got older, I kind of got into them on a particular album. I don't remember which one, but I love Hatebreed now. I can't believe I didn't like them ever, you know.
Right.
Ghost is a huge a newer band that I absolutely like. I love Motorhead. I mean, it another band that for me, like, I got into early that I was just like, give me a break. You know,
Yeah.
sort of like a punk band if you think about it.
Motorhead's very inspiring to the punk world.
I mean,
Uh,
Motorhead was one of the bands that brought punk and metal together, you know,
yeah.
that made it okay.
Crossover, hard
Yep.
rock. Tim Denier, is that? I hope I'm saying it right. He missed 25 years of music, having a hard time finding much recent stuff he really likes, and this is why in the Discord it would probably be a fun thing to have a channel that is just like top 3 or top, maybe even top just one favorite listen today, and every day you can post a new one, but you can only post one a day. One might be better. And it, so A, for musical discovery, and
Mm.
people will notice really quick. It's like, oh, this person is into things that I'm interested in. So I can ask them more. It's like, what else do you know about? This is something that I used to be able to do with lots of friends. And now it's like pretty much only Artie do I discover new bands that I'm like hypercritically amazing through. And he's not much of a musical discovery guy. Him and my pal Matt Fong. So it's I'm lacking. I need more.
Yeah, where was I? Maybe I was thinking about this very thing. I was talking about it in one of my videos because I came across this band Spirit Box this past year.
Yep.
That while they are very much a modern sounding band, they have that sound. Bloodbath, yes, Stephen, Bloodbath. Oh my gosh, their first album they recorded with fuzz and into bass cabs. I'm pretty sure because they
Yeah.
just wanted that low, nasty. Um, but like I went through chunks of time where I wasn't like open to listening to new music, and I'm really trying to like get past that, to like listening. So yeah, I wonder if we were to kind of create a channel where we can share like this is what Bunn's listening to today, you know,
Yeah.
like or what Nick's listening to. I
And
wonder
then
how the
and different folks are gonna kind of link up and be able to discover more
yeah.
through talking to each other. It's like, hey, oh, I like this thing that do you have anything else like that you know of? Of course. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting watching like in the comments, like how different people
Yeah.
are already sort of like, oh, you know that
Yeah, I've been
I
very
know
like
that.
distracted by the
Yeah.
comments. Like, yep.
Yeah.
So like we talk, everybody's there's a lot of comments on like Spirit Box and how their merch is sick and their band like they're definitely taking this new modern approach to being a band. Sort of that like the way Periphery kind of cleared the path on what a modern band, how they can still be, you know, make a living off being a band. You can't just do it off of record sales and streams. You know, you have to
Right.
diversify. And so Spirit Box is definitely doing that. They're often
Right.
behind the scenes stuff, their Patreon, their merch, dropping singles like to keep their name relevant and in people in front of mind.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to see.
Yeah. They're a Vancouver band, Canadian
Yep,
Vancouver. Yeah.
Vancouver Island. Yep,
Um, John from the
Whitechapel,
Whitechapel's so heavy.
dude. Yeah, the guitar player and Courtney, the singer, were in I Wrestled a Bear once.
Oh, really?
Yep,
That's them.
yep.
That's hilarious. Um, crazy. Yeah, it's outside of my realm of jams.
No, I get it. I
But
know
it's super well done. Uh, Wicked production, of course. Like it seems like everything from Vancouver is just like insanely produced. I'm like, I guess people are pretty wealthy out there.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, to live in Vancouver, you need to have some money.
Ah,
So there are still poor people there. Lucas Wisebird says Cephalic Carnage. I played some shows with Cephalic Carnage. Those are some rad dudes, and their tunes are crushing. Yeah, I did a couple shows on a tour with Hatebreed, Cephalic Carnage, Hate Eternal, and I can't remember someone else. Oh, Madball. It was such a weird bill. And then Arcata, this unknown metalcore band from Ontario. Not even.
Were you playing drums or bass in that?
I played drums in that.
Hmm.
Boo ba, just like that. Humanity's Last Breath. Yeah, HLB is like been really stealing a lot of light. They're unique. It's interesting that they came out, or when HLB very first started, they had a lot of that Vildhjarta kind of sound, and Vildhjarta has their own sound, and then they go to do HLB, Humanity's Last Breath, and it's also completely it developed into something completely different, and it's completely their own sound again. And I'm like, how do you do it twice in a row? And they don't really connect. Like every time I do something personally, I'd say like most of my projects sound like their own project, but it still sounds like the same guy. But with that stuff, it's like very uniquely its own thing, each thing. And they're both like pretty awesome. It's wild. Some people are just gifted, I guess.
Oh, wait, I gotta give Sean some props, because he just said he just finished the Paradise Lost discography, and then he says not a fan.
Oh,
but dude, listen to the whole discography.
The whole
you
thing.
Did your due diligence.
Did.
You are entitled to say you are not a fan after having listened to all of their music, and then coming to a decision. People don't do that.
Yeah.
So well done, my friend.
Yeah, I like that. Baritone Cult, Ulcerate. Yeah, Ulcerate's sick. Oh, man. Apoplexia, Russian Circles. Awesome. I like those guys. Pretty much anything that crew of dudes does.
Fear Factory was one of the Cavalera brothers, right?
Dino Cavalera. No. They did a tour. Like the very first time I saw Fear Factory, they were on a Sepultura tour together. But Dino Chavez or Chavez, I can never remember his name, but
I thought it was Cavalera. Dino.
No.
Oh yeah, okay. Dino.
Yeah. But
doesn't he have a brother in Soulfly, or am I just completely?
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, because Soulfly is a different thing. It's Max Cavalera from Sepultura.
Oh, I'm just mixing up these people's names, so I'm just terrible. Yeah, okay.
Right.
That's what's happening here.
It's there's a lot of names to know. To be fair.
Yeah. Max and Igor. That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's right.
Igor played drums and Max played guitar. And Beneath the Remains is the best record they put out. Although there's some bangers on Roots. That tune Cutthroat on Roots. Whoa. Cutthroat.
There's Soulfly. There was a chunk of time where I listened to Soulfly too, and I was like, man, Soulfly. I didn't. It was another thing. Like they were tuned so low, and there was like just very like rhythmic riffs, and then I didn't get it, and then I did, and I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah,
okay, Soulfly is the shit.
It was really jumpy. Hey, do you not find?
Like, it was very.
Looking back to it,
there's a song. I'm gonna see if I can. There's one song in particular I always like loved. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, geez, what album? At this point, it was. Oh, wow. This is it on Primitive? I think it's the last Fly High.
I don't know.
Look it up. I'm
I
gonna put
don't
it in the
know.
Discord. I'll put it in the Discord.
Yeah, get it in that Discord. And you know, Gear Stuff and Things, some Hum, little known band, unbelievable band, very much their own sound. Just like good vibes, such good vibes. There's so much in this stream. Like we would die if we
Yeah, you
tried to
guys,
get through
it's
all of
so
them.
many so many bands. I always think like
We
I know a lot of bands,
we
and
have
then
to
you guys.
we have to start this thread in the Discord for sure.
Okay, Turbo, you're right, man. That first American Head Charge album didn't sound like anything at the time. It was so like heavy and produced so goddamn well. Oh man. Yeah, I remember that album. Crushing.
Destruction. I can't see where you're at here. But Brandon says that the Vilcharda drummer guy, but I think it's Buster. Is it Buster? Yeah,
Yeah.
Buster. He's the guitar player he's the main guy of Humanity's Last Breath.
Oh, okay.
He says that he doesn't write at all for Vilcharda, but what's interesting about early HLB stuff is it sounds like exactly like maybe the best sounding Vilcharda tracks ever were written by Humanity's Last Breath. The early Humanity's Last Breath stuff. And it's all instrumental, so I like it even more because I generally don't like vocals, but sometimes I do. But yeah, mysterious how it all connects. What do we got here? 10:17.
Yeah, we're getting into it.
Shut her down here pretty soon.
Yeah, so many bands. I love it.
Smile Band, Amen Band. I had a band called The Smile. Nothing Face, Paul Sartre, Chum, First American Head Charge.
That album, man, I'm gonna go back and listen to it.
American Head Charge?
Yeah, it's so heavy. It's like that good mix of like metal and industrial and production. Oh man.
I saw them with Slayer, but I didn't know anything about it, and I was there to see Slayer, and I was just like, "Who's this band?" But you know, I think something that's unfortunate happens with a lot of those bands. The opener slot of these like mega headliners that have a cult following, like Slayer does. I think what ends up happening is the opener just
doesn't get a chance.
Yeah, I couldn't even hear them. I couldn't tell you what they sounded like. But I remember everyone was like American Head Charge, and there was a buzz about them, and I never followed up with it, so I don't even know what they sound like. But I did see them, or I was in the same room while they were playing. That's probably the more fair thing to say.
There's a good description. Yeah, I have many of those experiences.
But that sucks for the band, you know, like
it does. Yeah,
they should get like decent production on a bill like that, because otherwise the opportunity is lost, and the world shrinks. That whole world gets bigger when all the bands kind of work together. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm idealistic.
I agree with you.
Dredge, Linkin Park.
I love Linkin Park.
At the drive-in. AHC, Abandoned Hearts Club. Is that what that is?
I don't know. Oh, Between the Buried and Me is another good band that I like. Spent a lot of time listening to them.
Who is Brandon? AHC. I don't know what there could be many things called AHC. I know it as
American Head Charge.
Oh, American Head Charge. Right.
Yeah.
of course, my mind goes to something else. You always end up defaulting to something that you know,
Right.
which is maybe not always a good bias. A positive. Here we go, Brandon. Okay. Coal Chamber. Holy crap.
Oh boy, I saw them with Zach Wild back in the day. Black Label Society. Oh man.
A7X got.
Avenged Sevenfold.
Okay. Got him into metal in middle school. Between the Buried and Me and Mars Volta are fantastic. Yeah, I got to see Between the Buried and Me early. And they played a show with Every Time I Die. It was a festival.
El Nino.
Oh, El Nino. Yeah. That's like Soulfly era. But Between the Buried and Me, they played. And then right after them, Every Time I Die plays. And it's in this club show in Lockport, Buffalo. And it's like, a DIY rented the room and put a bunch of bands on. It was like a New Year's Day festival. And we go and we're like, oh, all these sick bands, like, I don't know, 20 bands or something. And Every Time I Die plays like kind of late afternoon, about 4:00.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason they're like, let's tear this place down. And they just start ripping, like jumping up and ripping down the drop ceiling. And then the entire place starts ripping down the drop ceiling. I'm like, there will
wonderful.
Yeah, there will never be a show in this state ever again.
Oh man.
And then a whole bunch of bands have to follow, like play after them. I'm like, we left after Every Time I Die. That was the last band that we wanted to see on that bill. And it was also, we were already there for 9 hours. But yeah,
that's funny, man.
It's like easy way to ruin everything is destroy property.
Yeah.
Like overtly like that. But I guess that's why they became notorious and famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Saren. Who's listening to Saren? Which Saren? That Saren clip you sent me reminded me a bit of Rammstein in parts. Might not be the Saren. There's probably a few of those. Noise, yeah. Pitch shifter. Oh, I remember pitch shifter. Crazy. Haven't thought about those guys for a long time. Atari Teenage Riot. Crazy. Yeah, we got to continue this in the Discord. So what I'm going to do here is, bam. For those of you who are not in the Discord, this link does expire in 24 hours. Dillinger Escape Plan. Yeah, awesome. I've seen them so many times from the very beginning right up to the very
end. Just got me started to listen to Dillinger. Dillinger is one of those bands I know I should have always listened to at some point.
But I think Burden.
He got me into this other song. It's so jazzy, so I started like dipping into other stuff. So we'll see. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Unbelievable band. I saw them in a basement the first time they ever. Well, I don't know if it was the first time they came to Toronto, but it was not a big show.
I mean, most of the bands that I love, I saw that there's a local place. It's called the Rave. It's called the Eagles Club Ballroom, and then there's the Rave on one floor, and then there's a basement where it used to be an old bowling alley that always had the best sound and the best shows. Like I saw Soilwork down there, and Arch Enemy. All the bands that I love, we always saw in the basement bowling alley. It's not really a bowling alley anymore, but you can see all the floors still.
Right.
Because it's probably very much like Toronto, where like they'll take old buildings that clearly were something else and they turned it into fucking venues, but like the big ballroom upstairs has the worst sound, but it fits the most people. Then there's the Rave that's in the middle floor that sounds better. But then there's the basement that sounds so sick.
Yeah.
But it's for all the small bands. Yeah.
Yeah, I like small shows. Like
me too.
Like in terms of seeing shows, I'll take a club show or smaller anytime. I do like concerts are not very fun because
Steven, ironically, I'm pretty sure I've seen Kitty at the Rave.
Thrice. Crazy. Yeah. So I'll just drop that in there again. Make sure
Yeah, Discord. We'll get
to
on this music discussion.
move this to Discord, because we're going to sign off here pretty soon.
Yep.
And once again, you know, all of this stuff here, if you like the show and you want to help out in any way, no pressure. Like, if you want to help. If you don't want to help, don't help. It's totally cool. But
Absolutely.
we just make it known. That's all we do here. That is our brand new, totally tasty Patreon. And this here is our direct link if you just want to do a direct donation of any kind. So yeah, love you guys. Awesome. Yep. Good times. Good. Let's keep it going if we can in the Discord. We're going to start that channel. What is it? A channel in Discord, Nick?
Yeah, we'll start a channel where it's like, I want to start a channel where I share the shit I like, and then people have to listen to it and they can't comment. but a channel where where we can have everybody share their stuff, you know. It'll just turn into a big spam of everybody loves it.
Yeah. My favorite tune today is what it's going to be called.
There you go. Whoa, one post. Yeah.
My favorite tune today, and just one tune every day.
Yeah.
And maybe explain like what it is you like about it. And yeah, it's the whole idea is to like discover new music, or old music, new to you music, and connect with other people who like music similar to you, that you can discover more music and also become best pals.
Yeah, right on.
So are we gonna, what time is it here? 10:27. Yeah, let's
cut it. All right, guys. Thanks again. Thank you guys who have already jumped in the Patreon. Again, we appreciate every little bit of help. It's just going to go back into the channel. We're going to have more dedicated stuff for Bandless, not necessarily related to each of our individual channels. A lot of stuff in the works. Yeah.
And just in a little bit of an explainer in Bandless, Patreon is, you may find some content there that is specific to Nick Hill and the Bunn. Like, we'll be sharing other things there, more expanded content that is relevant to the whole Bandless world in that Patreon as well. And certain, if it relates to the topic of the Bandless world, new videos will get early access there as well. Just so you know. As well as our own channels. Something I added to this YouTube channel was like all of our links and all that kind of stuff. So if you're like, yeah. So if anybody, I think everybody knows where our individual channels are and all that kind of stuff. But if for some reason you're like, these guys have their own channels, what?
We do.
And the links are in the description as well as in the header. So you can find the Patreon in the header as well. But thank you very much to everyone who was hanging out today. It's always super fun. And have an amazing night if it's night.
See you in the Discord.
Where you are, or day if it's day where you are. See you in the Discord.
Later, guys.
Are you going to end it or me?